or girly drinks. We drink beer and beer and beer.
Yeah,
no
baby.
champagne or girly drinks. We drink beer and beer.
What is up, everybody? Rajay back in the house on a Sunday. So today I will be holding a special international beer spotlight. Actually, just waiting on the guests to arrive at this point, but we're going to be doing a spotlight here on Dutch Beer Geek out of the Netherlands. So hopefully you guys will find this one enjoyable as well. Thank you to all of you that tuned in on Friday night. Wow, back-to-back spotlights in just as many days with Shane from Shane's Craft Beer. That was a great episode, and it was great to have you guys as being a part of that. And so this will be another one that will actually kick into gear and introduce you to his channel if you're not familiar with it, with an opportunity to be another person you should actually follow out there as well. And then shout out there. I see you, Vanessa. Cheers. Great to have you here on a Sunday as well. So we're going to go ahead and kind of, I thought he popped in here for a second. I think he's getting organized there. So we'll give him a second there. But yeah, we're ready to kind of kick it into gear. So switch some stuff around here, get the little beer spotlight stuff going. And then once he is all situated, we'll go ahead and jump into it. But hopefully you guys are having a great Labor Day weekend. For those of you, especially here in the States or in Canada, it's always like a nice 3-day weekend. That extra day, even though it's just one day, does tend to make a difference for sure. All right, so let's go ahead and get situated. And we have our guest. Are you okay there? Are you good? You solid?
Yeah, I'm fine. How are you?
Okay, good. Just want to make sure you're good to go. You popped in, then you popped out. So, well, welcome to the channel as we have Dutch Beer Geek out of the Netherlands. And question for you, just to make sure, because I want to make sure I get the pronunciation right. Is it Gerben or is there anything else, like maybe in a mispronunciation? Just want to make sure I don't lose anything in translation on how you pronounce your first name.
For Americans, Gerben is the most easiest way to say it.
Okay, just want to.
Yeah.
What's the actual way to say it though? Because I'm curious.
Gerben.
Okay, all right. I'll have to work on that part then.
Yeah.
Well, welcome. Happy Sunday. Well, to you, Sunday night, as you're actually 6 hours ahead. So it's about 9:08 over there right now. And appreciate you taking some time. We had to do it on a weekend so we can kind of match up our time zones here for sure. But it's great to, we've talked or messaged over the years, but we've never gotten together to actually do anything. So this is like the first time for us to actually work something in. So this is great. So I don't know why it took as long as it did, but you know how things are. Things get going, and it's just a matter of you catching up to it. But for those of you not, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's great to finally do this. Yeah,
definitely. And for those of you that are not familiar, we'll talk about the channel and stuff here in a second. But in the description, I do have a link to Dutch Beer Geek's channel, and I'll put one here as well in the comment section that you can actually click to check him out as well. So I think you've seen a couple of things I've done here with the spotlights. It's all about you. It's all about finding out about your channel, what you're kind of doing in the beer world. Interesting thing. So YouTube had you started back in 2018, but you just had an 8-year anniversary, correct? So were you doing a different channel before you switched to the current channel, or?
No, I think you mean we did a 8-year anniversary from a brewery.
Okay.
It's kind of a thing. It's a Dutch brewery called Moorsleutel, which basically means wrench. And they started 8 years ago, and each year they release a anniversary series, and each year it's one more beer. So they released 8 beers this year. And me and my buddy Thomas Opens, he also reviews on YouTube. We basically do it every year. We review their beers, so that's why.
Excellent. Okay, yeah, I saw you and Thomas on the video, but I haven't a chance to watch it as of
Yeah.
yet. And I was like, wait a minute, the math don't match. So what's going on here? So, but 6 years, a good amount of time
Yeah.
on YouTube. So you started a few years after me, but it's funny because I had recently done the list of like channels to watch under 1,000, and you reached out to, and I'm like, I
Yeah.
had no idea you were actually under 1,000 as well, because you
Yeah.
have some great videos, you have some great material out there, and for you, the thing that's got like the intriguing factor, so to speak, is that you actually do some in English, but then you do some, I would take it in Dutch, right, for the other language, for being in the Netherlands. So you've got
I
like the
kind of
only like bilingual channel I think that I know.
I kind of stopped doing Dutch reviews about, I think, a year ago, and
Okay.
totally went with the English ones because I'm on my social media. Everything is in English, so I thought, well, why not do everything in English also on YouTube? So
Uh-huh.
basically doing only English reviews now.
Okay. So you kind of went
Yeah.
there, and I was going to ask you later on during the show here, if you found success with one more or the other. But it seems like with the English, you're finding it to be a little bit more better for the audience, I guess, to kind of do it that way. You're thinking,
Yeah, basically because I'm also, like I told you, doing my social media is also in English, so on
okay,
Instagram and Facebook, and so that's why.
okay, okay, excellent. And for those of you that haven't seen Gerben here with Dutch Beer Geek, 821 subs last I looked there, so you are approaching that
Yeah,
1,000 mark, and then a lot of work put in 971 videos. So you definitely put the videos up for sure.
yeah,
So so we definitely want to see if we can get you over that 1,000 mark at some point. But again, 6 years in, you've seen a lot of different things come through as well. In the You think of the number of years, you're like, well, 6 years is 6 years, but in YouTube years, that's a lot. It's like dog years, right? Like 6 years
yeah,
in YouTube is a dedicated factor. So
yeah.
would have been some of the things maybe that come and gone, or things that have caught your intrigue? Like, why do you keep doing the beer reviews? Like, what drives you there?
Uh, because I think they're just fun to do. That's
Okay.
basically why I do it. And about 2 years ago, I stopped doing. I used to do three reviews a week, which is
Hmm.
kind of much.
Yeah.
So I went to one video a week now because it's kind of hectic with work and family and everything else. So, but I still enjoy doing it. Yeah, I love it. That's
Yeah.
one of the main reasons I do it.
So you got the passion for it, right? That's
Yeah.
you really enjoy sharing that passion with everyone, I would take it. And what was it that got you into craft beer? Like, how did you get on the craft beer journey? Was it something that someone surprised you at some point and kind of got you on that road, or was just like, there's always like some type of story when people first start getting into it, it seems.
Yeah, I was kind of a macro pills drinker when I was 15 or 16,
Hmm.
and started going to bars. And the town where I used to live had a bar where they poured a lot of different beers, and including some big Belgian beers like Schoof, uh, and that kind of got me into. It was not really craft beer, but got me into a different kind of beer than Pilsner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the
So
Shoof
like
is the one that the
Schoof
Shoof's the
and
one.
Google and those kind of beers. So
So
and
the Shoof was like kind of your first thing outside the
yeah,
realm of just macro. Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So
Well,
that was I don't know, probably about 10 or 12 years ago, I think. I started getting into the craft beer scene, and I thought, well, might as well. I took photos of what I was drinking, and I came across Instagram and thought, hey, that's fun.
hmm.
Maybe create an account, and that's where it kind of started. So, and YouTube came, I think, a year or later than that.
Okay.
So, yeah,
So you made the transition from Instagram to YouTube, because now you could just do obviously more of the video recording, because Instagram back then was more about the pictures. Now we can do video on there a little bit more, but yeah, and it allows you to start narrating your own take, your reviews, whatever you want around the beer. So that opened up that door. Yeah. And then you're also doing stuff on Facebook too, correct? Like you have some stuff that you like to post there as well.
Yeah, I got a Facebook page as well of Dutch Beer Geek, and on Instagram. And Instagram is kind of my main focus. It's not really my main focus, but that's where I'm at the most. I got the most followers there. So, and YouTube started, I think when I started my Instagram page about a year later, I came across a buddy of mine now, Geek Holland. He was the first one in the Netherlands. Who got a YouTube channel reviewing beer, and we got to talk. And yeah, he's still a buddy of mine. You see him every year. We go to beer festivals together, and yeah, we're still friends. So that's a great thing about the beer community.
Yeah. So what has been like one of your favorite experiences of being part of the beer community? Has it been the relationships, the finding of new beers, the camaraderie? Like what has been like something that's, or whatever, a few things that has really been something you were like, wow, this is really cool type thing, like that you may not have been expecting going in?
Oh yeah, definitely at number one is my together with Geek Holland and Thomas Opens and Beers with Douglas. We're 4 reviewers in the Netherlands, and we created the Dutch Beer Collective. And as part of that, we did a collaboration with a Dutch brewery, and they created a mystery beer in their advent calendar box, and our name was on the back of the can. So that was
that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was not expecting that when I started my YouTube channel.
Yeah. No, I even got my name on the thing, so you're ahead of me on that one already. So no, that's really awesome. Yeah, and that's like the Dutch Beer Collective. As you note that, like on the YouTube. So I know Thomas, and Thomas at some point I'll get him on for one of these as well. So it's you and Thomas, and you say like BK. Like how many people are part of the Dutch Beer? Is it just you 4 right now?
4.
Yeah. Okay. They're kind of building out.
3 people, and later on Douglas came along, and we invited him to join us. So
nice. That's nice to have like a little group there over in the Netherlands, and being able to kind of come together and have these ideas and share some stuff. And you're like, hey, it's not just me anymore over here. You find out you got other people that are doing the same thing. Yeah. No, that's we just had a thing here in the States. Well, we went to Canada, but we did something in Niagara with the people kind of here in North America. So it makes it kind of fun when you have those type of events take place. So, with the stuff happening, because I'm kind of curious, like over in the Netherlands, what you're kind of seeing there in the beer world. Are you like, what is the craft beer scene like over there? Because when we think of Netherlands, we think of Amsterdam. We think of something besides craft beer. We think of something else that you can do over there, right? So, but what's the craft beer scene kind of like over there?
Amsterdam is a great beer city. You got lots of breweries, and the Netherlands is also pretty big on the craft beer scene. We got about 500 breweries in the Netherlands. That is macro breweries, but also home brewers and craft breweries. But it's pretty big. Every large or a big city got a couple of breweries nowadays. So there's a lot of breweries around.
Yeah. So you have a lot of access. I can see behind you like the different cans. Like those are all cans you save from some of the Netherlands beers, or are they from around the world? Or
the ones over here are all Dutch breweries, and I kind of have a thing for black IPAs. And those are black IPAs over here. So, but they're all over the world. I got them from. So,
very nice. Yeah, I'm always a fan of having more black IPAs out there. I feel like that we don't see enough of what we can be seeing on those, and not just all the New England or hazy. And
Yeah.
over here, and I'm sure over there, you probably get the yearning for some more West Coast because they try to bring back some of the West Coast IPAs in a lot of spots. But everybody's trying to get away from New England. And people I know are trying to get away from New England hazy all the time. They want to get some of the other stuff. But black IPA, that's always been one of my favorite IPA styles. So, in talking about beer styles, for you, like, what are your maybe top 3 beer styles you enjoy as your favorites?
I am a hophead for sure.
Okay.
I love IPAs. I drink New England IPAs, but I love my West Coast IPAs and I love black IPAs. But I'm also into stouts, barrel-aged stouts, barley wines, kind of like everything. So there's not really a style I don't like. I'm not really into the whole pastry sour thing.
Okay.
Not really fan of that. But other than that, I can enjoy every style.
Okay.
So,
Well, that was gonna be my next question. Like, are there the styles you didn't like? So you kind of were ahead of me on that one. But like the pastry type sours, like for me, like I'm not a huge fan of like shandy beers. Anybody watching my channel know I'm not a huge shandy fan. But for you, like kind of those pastry sours, anything else that are kind of like a little bit more down on beers you like to enjoy? Like you don't really like to, it's like if I can get something else, I'll get that instead. But it's just not my favorite. Or is it just really the pastry sour is kind of the only one that sits out there by itself?
I love my sours and I love Berliner Weisses and all that kind of thing. But pastry sours is a bit too much.
Too much. Okay. Well, craft beer breweries, sometimes they go too far. It's just a bridge too far. It's like you didn't really need to make this one, but okay, we're here now. So in looking at beer, one of the questions I always ask everybody, so if I dropped you like off on an island and I gave you a 6-pack you could have with you on that island, what beers would you have in your 6-pack?
On the island? Okay.
Yeah. You got 6 beers you can take with you. Like, what are those 6 beers going to be?
Definitely a craft pilsner.
Okay. Now, do you have like a certain brand you would do? I should have said like, because usually people will say, "Well, I have this or that." Like, do you have a certain one?
I got a favorite one from the Netherlands, which is a Czech style pilsner from White Dog Brewery, which is amazing.
Okay.
I really love that one, so probably gonna choose for that. And definitely an IPA, and then a West Coast IPA, I think.
Okay. Anyone in particular you think, or?
What I do on my channel and what I do on Instagram and Facebook is mainly focused on Dutch beers, but I'm not. I also drink American beers and English beers, of course. But so one of my favorite West Coast IPAs, American IPAs, is a beer from Jopen. Is also a Dutch brewery in the Netherlands. It's kind of a it's available over here in every supermarket, and a really great accessible American IPA.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
And
you got the
I will also choose a stout from Moersleutel, which is their motor oil. It's an imperial stout, really thick, creamy, luscious beer. Yeah, they're really great at brewing stouts, barrel-aged stouts, and that's a really nice. It's a part of their core range, and it's a really nice stout from them.
Okay. So that's 3.
That's 3. Yeah, New England IPA, of course.
Okay.
And that one would be from also a Dutch brewery called Valhalla. They're from Amsterdam. If you ever go to Amsterdam, go check them out because they're an amazing brewery. I don't have a name of the beer, but they make really great hazies. and yeah, they're just amazing.
Okay.
That's 4.
That's what.
Let me think. Yeah, I love me some Cantillon.
Oh, okay. Very nice. I like some
That's
cotillion.
nice.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that.
Very nice. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's not really easy to come by over here in the Netherlands, but it's pretty. Brussels not that far, so
Hmm.
and yeah, I love their beers. They're really amazing.
Yeah, I agree.
That's only one left. Um, ooh, um, ooh. Of course, a black IPA.
I was going to say, we talked
Um,
about that earlier. I was
yeah,
thinking, is he going to say it?
yeah. Save the best for that. Um, one of my favorites is this one. It's called James. It's from Hill Farmstead. I don't know if you
Okay.
have it.
I know Hill Farmstead. Yes.
Yeah, really great black IPA. Yeah,
Okay.
one of the best
I haven't had that front. I'll have to take a look to see. I always hear about them, and now that I'm back on the East Coast, I come across them a little bit more where I can kind of see their
Yeah,
stuff when I travel up north.
it's not easy to come by over here in the Netherlands, but we got there is a shop in Amsterdam who imports lots of American beers, like Treehouse, Trillium, all those kind of things. So
So you get that, and we can't get that in some of our states, but you can get it over there in the Netherlands. We can't
yeah,
get Trillium or Trio unless we go up there, but yet in other
we,
countries, yeah, I go to my local store. I got it right here.
yeah, it ain't cheap, but it's pretty expensive. But every now and then I can't help myself getting a couple of beers from that store. So
Okay, well, I definitely, yeah, I'd be jealous of that for sure. But speaking of beers, I know
yeah,
you had a beer there. I got one here. It's gonna
yeah.
crack open. But what beer did you actually have there that you were going to be enjoying?
It's a beer from a Dutch brewery called Two Chefs Brewing. They are from Amsterdam, and this is
Okay.
a barrel aged mixed fermentation saison, and it's
Mm.
aged for let me see, 24 months on Chardonnay. So
Oh, okay.
quite curious about this one. So
Little
what do you have?
wine. I actually ended up grabbing one that I don't know. I felt like I haven't had a sour, decent sour in a while. So this is from Monument Brewing Company, located here in Baltimore,
Okay.
and is their rooftop orange crush. So this was a sour ale that comes in at 5% ABV. So a little session drink here, since it's still
Yeah.
like kind of middle of the day where I'm at, but
Yeah.
that's never stopped me before. Don't get me wrong. But I figured I'd give this a try. Hadn't had it before, so I ended up grabbing a few of these to check out and see how this one went down. But I go in and out on some of the sours. Sometimes I just get a time I feel like I want to have a sour, just like some of the IPAs. Sometimes I feel like I want one, and sometimes I don't. It can burn out a little quick, but that's a look there at the beer itself. Just like all sours, the head fizzes away rather quickly. It's nice saison.
Yeah.
It's got a light orange punch. So I will say for some of the viewers that aren't a big fan of sour, I know Shane's here, Shane's Craft Beer. Um, it's a decent sour in that it doesn't punch you in the face with all the tartness that you can get with a lot of sours. So it's pretty subliminally or sublime in how it's actually delivered. It's very subtle. You get that little sour type back in. It's got a little bit of an orange citrusy type feel. So it's if someone said I was looking to do a sour, but I'm new to sour, this is kind of one of those gateway ones you can try to probably give them. Be a little bit lighter, little refreshing thing, little bit of an acidity, but not anything great that you can get a
Yeah.
nice refreshing feel out of it, which, you know, on the days that we've had heat wise would be not a bad one to actually have. Now we're starting to get hopefully going down in temperature where we can get a little cooler. It's even that much better. But what about your saison there? What are your thoughts on it?
It's really nice. They put out this set. It was a set of 3 bottles. They made I think a barrel aged stout and a barrel aged barley wine and barrel aged saison. This came out about 6 months, 7 months ago, and it's one of my favorite Dutch breweries. I highlight them on a weekly basis on my Instagram account on Thursday.
Okay.
And they make very accessible IPAs and very accessible beers. They're not really over the top, but this saison is kind of over the top, which I like. It's pretty funky. You can taste the barrel in there as well.
So you're getting a little bit of a
5.4%.
Okay.
So it's today's kind of a hot day over here in the Netherlands, about 30 degrees over here. So it was a pretty hot day. So this is very welcome.
Yeah.
In the evening.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah. Of course, all my American friends are like, okay, 30. Now I got to do the math because he's doing Celsius. So, yeah, it's warm. 30 Celsius is warm, folks. Just know that. But you said you can taste like the barrel, and so you're getting some of the oakiness coming through some of the wood, so to speak, and everything like that. Okay, very nice. I always enjoy a nice saison. So it's definitely. I feel like it's
much, but. But every now and then I like it. Yeah. One of my favorite saisons is definitely gonna be Dupont, which is a.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Brasserie Dupont. Everybody knows that one out there. That's like your, definitely top level. And I feel like saisons are a little bit, that's definitely one. I also say saison, barley wine, some of your wildly fermented type beers, definitely more for that acquired palate, right? Like those are ones you kind of build up to, because if you're first time drinking one of those, you're like, I have friends that like barley wine 6 years ago and they want to spit it out. Now they love them, right? So it's definitely as you develop your palate, not one's probably for the beginner, but once you get to that intermediate and kind of go into advanced, you start to get more of that feel and that acquiring of that taste for it. So definitely some great ones out there. Speaking of the Netherlands, speaking of Amsterdam, so as I kind of alluded to earlier, messing around, we know a lot of people like go to from the States, they go to Amsterdam because they can go there and smoke weed or whatever, right? So are you seeing a lot of THC drinks? Have you brought those to your channel? Or are they being made over there? Are you starting to see those hitting the marketplace more?
I know there's one I've had from a brewery which is kind of close to me. But they're not really a big thing over here.
Oh, really? Okay. All right.
No, I don't see much.
That's interesting.
Is that a big thing over here in the States, over at your end?
It's trying to be. It's trying to be right now. So in the States, we have, I think last I looked, 21 or 22 of the states that have legalized marijuana for recreational use. So in those states, there are some of the breweries that are trying to get licensed to be able to do THC drinks. Now in Canada, where it's been legalized, there are places up there that do the THC drinks. Just like you can go get like gummies, or up there in your dispensaries, you can actually get marijuana, and take it home and smoke it if you want. So here it's still, behind the stages, it's still getting done. Just recently listening to my buddy Dave and his Beer in Front podcast, he had the Illinois Beer Guild person in charge on, and they were kind of talking about they're trying to lead the charge out there to get THC drinks approved. And I guess they're right behind Minnesota doing it as well. So we have a couple states that are definitely pushing that way. There's some freelance home brewers that I know have made THC drinks. I've had some in the past that have been made, which it's a pleasant drink, a THC beer. It's a different type feel to it. again, just like an edible type thing, you have to let it sit there as a delayed response, but it's a different feel that you hit. When it hits, you get that nice little feel that comes from it, right?
Yeah.
So look, you smile like, yeah, I know. Yeah. So hopefully here we still start to see a little bit more of that going forward, which I think we will, because I think that's going to be right now. And you might be seeing it over there, but here in the States, a lot of discussion is talking about how some of the craft beer sales are lower versus some of the other things over the last few years, right? But part of that is the consumption of more legalized marijuana for recreational use. So some of the younger generations are more leaning that way rather than drinking. And so for the companies that are on that forefront of saying, hey, we need to make sure we keep up with things, we have to get THC drinks out. So I think you will see more from the States being pushed that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think that's kind of a completely different thing over here. Because marijuana is legalized for God knows how long. So
no need to brag. No need to brag.
and if you look at how much beer is sold in the Netherlands, macro is going down. It's going a bit up, but like alcohol-free and low ABV beers is like skyrocketing high.
Yeah.
At the moment, so.
Yeah. So, I mean, if it does push here, I'm sure it'll probably come that way. At that point, it'll be like some probably novelty type thing for you all to try over there, but it'll probably be some push coming out of the US. And it's funny, you mentioned earlier, like, and I can see some of the people like, what? Like, you were talking about when you were like drinking the macro, you're like, oh, 15 or 16. Well, here you still got to be 21. It used to be 18 and it's 21. And then like legally you were fine to sit there and drink at that age. But here it's just like, yeah, we're still in the dark ages compared to you guys when it comes to letting people do that. So
nowadays, when I was 15, 16, that like 15 was the age when you could start drinking in bars and pubs. Nowadays, 18.
It is 18 now or 19? 18.
Yeah,
okay.
they raised it up a bit.
So they raised it a little bit up there. Okay. Yeah. Well, still here, it's like 21. It used to be 18 and then they went to 21. In fact, they went to 18 the year, I believe it was, when I lived in New Jersey, when I would have turned 18 in 87, about to go to college, is when they moved it to 21. And so you're like 15, you're 16, you're saying like, oh, it'll be finally legal. And then they changed it. It's like, are you kidding me? Like, which might have been a good thing because when I got to college, like, and talking to like some of the RAs that we had there, they used to tell us like the previous years, right before they changed it, like all the dorms would have kegs on them and people were like just getting too drunk. They were failing out. So I probably didn't need that in my life at that point, just to get up in the morning, walk out, grab a beer, go back into the room and just hang out. Like I probably wouldn't have made the class. So it's probably a good thing they didn't move it, I guess. But, you know, not to say when I was 15 or 16, I found my ways to get alcohol. So I was good to go. Let me see here. DD comment. I love a Saison with tea biscuits. I don't know why, but it works for me. That's an interesting one. Have you ever done any pairing? Have you done any pairing videos? As he brought up the tea biscuits, curious if you did any pairing type videos or you kind of talk about that in your videos.
No.
Okay.
I used to work in healthcare. I was a cook and changed my career about 2.5 years ago and started working for one of the biggest wholesale stores in the Netherlands. They sell to hotels and restaurants and stuff like that. And I'm kind of doing the beer thing over there as well. And I do every now and then. I do tastings with at work with the people in the store. And we do also kind of beer tastings with food pairing as well. So that's kind of cool. But I don't do them in my videos though.
Okay. Have you ever thought about doing them before in your videos? Has it ever come across? Because I've had a couple of videos where I've like done a burger and some beer, and people seem to like it. I just haven't gotten fully into doing that aspect. But
no, not really. I've seen. I'm not gonna name any names, but there's a huge one in the UK who does them in.
Uh,
I don't know if he's still doing it, but it was kind of. Oh, I didn't like it. So
well, if he chews with his mouth wide open, then that's an issue, right? You got to do them in the right way.
yeah,
You got to make them seem attractive. But well, I mean, just even talking about some things like you said, like Dee had here with the tea biscuits might be something with the saison, because of that saison, you do get that earthy type feel, you do get that grain type feel. So putting it with tea biscuits can actually be a great thing.
Yeah,
To help enhance both of those. And then Shark, my buddy Kevin said, I'm surprised not to see that many THC beers in California. Yeah, that's California is one of those states where it's legalized, and you would think you would have some of this stuff coming out of there. But I think a lot of it's running into the government legislation of stuff. So, because I know in Illinois, they were talking about the different things and the different hurdles they have to jump over to become legalized on it, just like Minnesota. But both of those, I mean, California is a very progressive state. Minnesota and Illinois are progressive as well, but they seem to maybe notching ahead. But maybe California's got some stuff going on we don't know that. Who knows? Maybe we'll see them pop up. Here in the States, one of the purchaser of a good amount of craft breweries lately has been Tilray Brands, and Tilray is a cannabis company. So they've been buying out some of the beer brands. They just got who had a Georgia? It wasn't Sweetwater. It was somebody else. I think went under Terrapin Beer Company went under them, and then they had like a few other key ones that like. Down the line, you can see if things get passed. Hey, we got the technology for doing cannabis. You got technology for beer. You got to think THC is going to be coming down the pike, right? So, see what definitely happens there. And Dee, thank you very much for the super sticker. Appreciate you, my friend. Always enjoy anything like that goes right to the beer fund to actually help out and get things rolling. One thing I was going to do, I wanted to bring up your channel here as well so I can share it with everybody so they can definitely know when they see you on there. Let me go ahead and get that real quick. Shrink us down so I can pull this up. All right. So it should be right there on the screen. So this right here, I'm going to blow it up bigger so everybody can see it, not to squint. So there we go. Here is the channel for Gerben, the Dutch Beer Geek. And if you haven't seen it, make sure to get out there and see it for sure. And like I said, subscribe. A lot of good stuff here. Here he is with him and Thomas. We mentioned Thomas earlier, who's also a part of the Dutch Beer Collective. Thomas does some pretty good stuff on his channel. Now, is this all four of you together on this video here? So I see you and Thomas. Okay.
Yeah, we did a when COVID hit. We kind of were thinking, well, we should do something about all the breweries that are suffering and don't sell enough beer. So we kind of came up with a concept. We made 5 questions, and we invited a lot of Dutch breweries to do a live stream with us. And we kind of did that for, I think, almost a whole year. And it was kind of cool to talk to brewers and breweries, how they are doing during COVID, and what they do to survive and sell their beers, and it was kind of fun. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. That's more of us interviewing a Dutch brewery.
Okay, well, that was pretty cool to shine a spotlight on them to help them out and get their details out there.
Yeah.
And you got the shorts and stuff, so you even got like some of that taking place now. Shorts are always kind of a weird thing. It's like, do I want to do a short? I don't know. But what's your feeling on doing shorts?
I used to do them, but it's been really long since I did the last one. So.
Yeah, so make sure you check out Dutch Beer Geek here on YouTube, and here we have the windmill, so you know its logo to take a look at there, and lots of good stuff happening. Jump back over here. I'm gonna drop it in here again, just for anybody that came in later. There is the link to Gerben's channel as well. So with everything you've been doing kind of on YouTube, like what has the experience been like for you for the journey? Like, has it just been exciting, crazy, kind of like, has it been cool? Like, you've got some stuff happen. I mean, obviously we talked about the getting on the can, right? That had to be a
Yeah,
cool thing, right? So that had to be some exciting. Have you
that
have
was
you
probably
been
the coolest thing.
yeah. I mean, have you
Yeah.
been like some places where it's kind of like maybe you were recognized, or maybe there's some other stuff where you're kind of like frustrated with some of the stuff? Like, how has it been overall? Like, I mean, obviously you're still doing it, but anything that's really been like captivating or that
Yeah,
you
it's kind of like when I started, there was literally one guy in the Netherlands doing it
hmm
on YouTube reviewing beers, and nowadays it's kind of a lot more. So a lot of people are doing it, so which is kind of great, if you ask me.
hmm
So the more people, the better. Um, and when we started, we were if we go to festivals or breweries, people recognize us.
that's
Mostly,
see, that's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. We if we go to a brewery, the brewers also they kind of like us, and they want to see us reviewing a beer in their brewery, and that's kind of cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Have you ever had like any of the breweries that were kind of like you reviewed a beer and you're kind of like, this beer is so, it's okay. It's not, one of my, like, has any brewery come back like, I don't want to say like they came back like negative at you, but came back like asking for more
Oh
constructive
yeah,
criticism?
yeah,
Like, they're like, hey, we saw your
yeah.
video. We know you didn't like this one that much. What, like, they asked for any like kind of feedback or something like that?
I'm not really a reviewer that trying to please the brewery. I give
Mm-hmm.
my honest opinion. If I don't like it, I say it.
Yeah.
And but honestly, I love every style, and I love mostly everything that's brought out in the Netherlands by Dutch breweries. But every now and then, I just say what's on my mind. If I don't like a beer, I say it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
some people don't like it, but yeah, that's a bummer.
Well, Well, I think that's the thing too. I mean, and maybe if you found the same from your experience, like from mine, when I talk to breweries, they're more or less they don't expect you to like every beer. They're like nobody likes every beer.
No.
So it's kind of like when you have a channel, if you're doing a channel and you're liking every beer to a great extent, I think people will question that. Like, is this guy really being serious about it, or are they just trying to, leverage to maybe get a beer deal? But when you have beers on there and you're like, okay, this beer is okay, it's not great, and here's the reason why I don't like it. Like, lots of times if I have something, I'm not a fan of it. I point out why, but I'm like, but if this is your style, maybe you want to give it a try because maybe you'll find something
Yeah.
different about it. Versus some people I've seen do stuff and they're just like, oh, this beer is crap. Like, blah, blah. Like, you're giving nothing constructive back to the brewery to even have an idea why you don't like it, right? It's like when you
Yeah.
look on Untappd and somebody drinks a chocolate porter and they say it's too much chocolate. Well, you got a
Yeah.
chocolate porter. You're going to have a lot of chocolate. Right? You're not
Don't
providing
drink it.
anything. Yeah, don't drink it if you don't like that much chocolate. But I've had some friends that have gotten like, I don't say pushback, but it's kind of like get criticized from some breweries because they give their honest thing. But I'm curious if anything's ever said to you, like, from any brewery or anything like that, where it's kind of like, hey, we wish you wouldn't have said this or said that, or kind of like they like, no, you're cool. Like, a lot of breweries are cool with stuff. Like, I've talked to breweries, I've never had that pushback, but I don't know if you ever had anything that might have came back that way.
I've got I think two examples of breweries that don't exist anymore in the Netherlands.
Mhm.
They were quite small, but I reviewed some of the beers which I did not like very much. But I
Mhm.
don't know if the brewery not being here anymore has anything to do with my review. But I don't know. But yeah, if I don't like it, I say it, and that's the risk you take as a brewery sending out beers to a YouTuber, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's also the key thing of being independent. You're able to have that,
Yeah.
right? You're not trying to do anything to. be on their payroll, so to speak. You have that independent view, which is a great thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But all right, so you ready for your next big question here?
Mm-hmm.
So if I were to give you a bar or a brewery and I said you have 5 beer taps that you can use, and for the public, obviously, what five styles of beer you put on those beer taps? You only got 5.
Okay. Pilsner, and then a craft Pilsner, not a macro Pilsner.
Okay.
A black IPA, of course.
Okay.
A West Coast IPA.
Paul PA Breweries, bet one's a black IPA.
Yeah. A nice barley wine.
Okay.
And a barrel-aged stout.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, for one, I would love to be in that bar because you got some pretty good stuff out there. I don't think most breweries can kind of would do that. They'd be too afraid of the risk because they might turn off consumers. But yeah, that'd be a fun bar to be in. Getting those on tap for sure. I would love a barrel aged stout and the black IPA, the Pilsner. What were the other one was the barley wine.
The barley wine, yeah.
Yeah. I'd be good. I'd be good with that bar myself, but those are all session ales for me for the most part. Yeah. Go ahead and give me a Rajay stool at that bar. Kevin would say, I would sample the beers at the bar. Yeah, see? Yeah. Us true beer drinkers would definitely want to be in that one for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So that would actually be awesome there. So it's funny, yeah, because when you go to a lot of the breweries, I mean, obviously they played a little bit more, I guess from a business perspective, they played a little bit more safe, right? What they can kind of put out there for some of their styles. But
yeah.
I'm
every time I speak to a brewery on social media or when I go to their brew pub or to the brewery, I'm always pushing to make a black IPA, make a black IPA. They don't make it much over here.
Yeah.
And I really love breweries that are making like German style beers, like a Kolsch or a
Oh,
Märzen,
yeah.
anything like that, which I'm really a fan of. And there are a few breweries doing it, but not a lot. Most of what Dutch brewers bring out is a lot of hazies and a lot of stouts, and that's mainly it.
Yeah. That's always that, and the hazy thing, and it's like it's a thing where are people asking for it because they don't know any better, or are breweries just putting it out there because they think people are going to ask for it? Like it's so many beer styles. Like for me, Rausch beer has become one of my favorite beer styles to enjoy.
Yeah.
And I wish more breweries did that. I mean, I'm good with St. Curla, and anytime they come out with something, I will pick up their stuff without in a heartbeat. But I do see some craft breweries starting to get into that a little bit more. But there's such an opportunity with those type of smoked beers. I'm like, smoked beer, sign me up.
Yeah, I'm really a fan of that as well. And
yeah,
like you said, every time a Schlenkelaar puts out a new beer, I'm in for it.
yeah.
In the Netherlands, you got a few breweries doing a smoked beer, but it's not much. Just a couple.
Just a couple. It's kind of like when you see a couple that would do like an alt beer or Keller beer or some of these other stuff. It's like there could be so much more stuff where people can go, and it's like we're in our bubble. We don't want to leave our bubble. We don't want to experience. I mean, I can understand it. I mean, when you're a company, you're putting that much money into something. If it doesn't work, you take a big hit. But like one of the breweries we used to have in Cincinnati that has been blowing up like great. They used to do small batch processing, so they had like Braxton Brewing, but then they had their Braxton Labs, and the Braxton Labs would be like their small batch processing.
Okay.
So they would try things on the small level at the little lab brewery, so to speak. And if it took off, then they could bring it over to the big brewery. But it gives them a way to sample, and not every brewery can do that, right? Because we know margins are tight for a lot of the breweries. But I just wish more had that capability, just to like test it out, see how people go, and try to scale it up from there. So.
Yeah, we got a brewery, a macro brewery who does that in the Netherlands. Gros, I don't know if you heard of that brewery before.
No, I haven't heard of that one.
They're pretty big over here in the Netherlands and Europe. They're macro, but they got a small brewery where they test out small batches of different styles, and if it hits the market great, they scale it up to a bigger to the bigger brewery. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good. I mean, if you can do it, that's the way to go, in my opinion, and it gives you a way to get in the test market. One thing I was going to ask you about over in Denmark, the pronunciation, because over here we say like tool, but I don't know if tool is the right thing. Like,
no. If you say tool, I'm the band.
The band, right?
Yeah.
So what is the proper pronunciation? Because they make some good beers that we get over here as well and stuff. So, but it's like, I don't think it's really tool, but Americans, we kill the English language all the time. So.
Well, if I'm correct, it's pronounced to öl.
Oh, okay. There you go. Okay.
Like two words. And öl is I think Danish for beer. So
okay.
Kind of means to drink beer or to beer or anything like that.
Okay. Well, the two words would make sense because there's that space in between it. So yeah. Now, do you drink a lot of their beers? Do you pick them up commonly, or?
Don't see them very much over here in the Netherlands, but they got a line of IPAs which is sold at supermarkets over here.
Okay.
So, which is kind of nice. And I don't see them much though, but
okay.
And one of the things on my to-do list is to go to Denmark and discover the breweries over there, because they got a really nice brewery scene over there.
Okay. Yeah. I don't see them as much where I'm here in Baltimore. Now, when I was in Cincinnati, we saw them a lot. We had pretty good distribution that came through there. One of the places we have there called Jungle Gyms has really good international beers that come in. So we'll see stuff there, and we see a lot of collabs they've done with other breweries that we usually can pick up there. So, and then do you get like a lot of McKellar coming through where you're at then as well? Like McKellar, do you see them? Yeah.
They got they also got a tap room in Amsterdam. So,
okay.
Yeah, you see some of the beers over here in the beer stores. Yeah.
Okay.
Not much, but it's there.
Okay. Yeah, we see them pop up, and obviously the two brothers. So the other one's Evil Twin. So we see Evil Twin in different spots around the U.S. Here in the States. So, but I always enjoy checking out theirs as well. Paul may mention one of my locals has smoked Murchison on year round. Another one up north has a Baltic Porter on year round. There you go.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I do enjoy a nice Baltic Porter as well. As far as beer styles, is there a beer style that you found from doing everything that you feel is overrated? And is there also one that might be underrated?
Probably like I told you before, I'm a hophead, but probably the most overrated style in the beer is, I think, the IPA.
Yeah, like the New England IPA, or just in general. Okay.
Just in general, like when the American craft beer revolution started and IPAs were first made, it blew over to Europe, and it's just exploded over here with IPAs, probably the same as in the US. But yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. I love my IPAs, don't get me wrong, but yeah, every now and then I'm not really into IPAs because last year I'm really getting started to like my pilsners and like the German style beers. I go to Germany once or twice a year, and when I go to the beer stores there, it's just fun to try all those classic German styles.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
What about underrated, do you think? I mean, probably black IPA, right? So
yeah,
stick with the IPA.
yeah. 'Cause I got a thing on Instagram where I do every Sunday. I try to review a black IPA.
hmm
It kind of worked for a year and a half every Sunday, but the last 2 months couldn't find any black IPAs over here anymore. So
Okay.
kind of a bummer. But yeah, I'm probably gonna say black IPA. But also barley wine, I think, because you don't see
Okay.
much over here. Um, and yeah, you like the classic German styles. You don't
Mm,
see them much over here.
yeah.
When you go to Germany, of course, you will find them, but um, over here, it's not really much breweries are making a Mersen or Eralf beer or uh, a Helles or
Yeah.
a great black lager or anything like that.
Okay. Speaking of Germany, there, let me get the Paul thing here first. Root cellar outside Cincinnati. Paul actually came through when I was at one time, where I used to live in Cincinnati. We didn't get a chance to meet, but he made mention of one of the places there called the Root Cellar. Like I said, great beer distribution through Cincinnati, but foreign
Okay.
brews and the Puha Jala and the two. Well, so I will let you pronounce that there, but
Boyala.
yeah, yeah. So they get a lot of good stuff coming through.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's Cincinnati itself is a roots German heritage type city. So they got a lot of stuff.
Okay.
Like they had the second biggest Oktoberfest outside of Munich in the world.
Okay.
So they get like when they have it here in the next few weeks, like breweries come over from Germany, Paulaner comes over, Eyinger comes over, and they bring not just their merchants, but they also bring their Keller beers and their other stuff that you don't usually see, which is great exposure for
Awesome.
people to actually enjoy. So I tell people if you can't get to over to Munich and you're in the States, try to get to Cincinnati for Oktoberfest because it's a
Yeah.
blast. And they bring over the culture and stuff. And one of the
Yeah.
hats up there I got when I was there years ago and got the little pin. And when I was in Cincinnati, I would go each year try to get a pin to add to the hat and everything like that. But it's a great time. And you have
Yeah.
all the women stacking the beers that they carry all like I can't believe some of these women can carry as much beer as they actually
Yeah.
carry. I mean,
Crazy.
yeah, it's a crazy time, but such a good fun time.
Yeah.
I would love to get to Munich at some point to actually be the true Oktoberfest, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's I've never been there, but that's one of the things I'm really anxious to go someday.
yeah, like one of
Yeah.
those bucket list type things, right? I just want to get there. But since we are in Oktoberfest season, so have you started drinking any of the Oktoberfest beers or sharing those with your channel? Or are you kind of waiting? I'm more like I like to wait until into September a little bit more before I start really getting into it. I cracked open a cup. I had one that was sent to me from Paulaner that I did a review. I did a thing with a review a few weeks ago, and then I ended up
Mhm.
picking up one of the Sierra Nevada that they teamed up with one of the breweries out of Germany for, just because
Oh
I
yeah.
was out and about and it was just there. But I always love their collaborations they do. But I haven't gotten fully deep into a lot of stuff yet. But have you started to get involved into?
Not really.
Mm,
If I find them, I probably buy them. Last week I was at a supermarket over here, and they didn't get that. They got a box of Oktoberfest beers, all from Germany.
mhm,
Originally a German store, and but they're not. It's not really a big thing over here. We
mhm,
there is some Oktoberfest festivities all over the Netherlands, but and Dutch breweries don't make fest beers or Oktoberfest beers. So
Oh, they okay. Wow. Okay. Okay.
it's
That's
a bit of
interesting.
a small market, I think, over here in
Yeah.
the Netherlands, and breweries are a bit afraid of making those beers and not selling them, I think.
So any that you see over there are the ones being imported in because they're not going to make them. They're going to the other breweries will send them in from Germany or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. What about pumpkin beers? Do you guys have a craze for pumpkin beers there at all?
No,
No pumpkin. Okay.
no,
I like the
no.
straight face. Like
There,
no.
I know there's one brewery over here in the Netherlands that makes it every year, but I think that's the only one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
What the? What was that?
hello?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, yeah. I heard something weird in my ear or something, and I don't know. It did something there. That was kind of funky. But yeah, but you were saying on the pumpkin beers, like only one.
Probably a US thing. Pumpkin
Okay.
beer, I think.
Well, the US, Canada, they do the pumpkin.
Yeah.
Over in the UK, they get the pumpkin, I think, now too. Like you'll see them do them. It's part of the fall harvest type stuff. So people would do
Yeah.
the pumpkin beer. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a huge pumpkin beer. I have pumpkin beers here and there, but we have like in the States, like there's pumpkin, like Starbucks, pumpkin coffee, pumpkin pies, pumpkin cakes. Like people go crazy for pumpkin in the States over here. So kind of curious over there because you'll see a lot of beer reviews start to get popped up around this time of year about pumpkin beers. Like Joe, our buddy the Beer Patrol, he does like a 7 days of pumpkin, I think, on his channel. So there's
No.
just
If I'm gonna
yeah.
do that, I'm probably gonna stay with one beer.
Yeah, but
Because there's no availability over here. So it's no, the fall over here in the Netherlands is pretty big on bock beers.
okay.
Yeah, that's a really big thing over here. But pumpkin beers, no.
Okay. Well, you're safe in that regard. You can mark like on Facebook, mark yourself safe from not having pumpkin beer.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a big craze, and people get into it. In fact, here in the States, it used to be about early July. You would start seeing Oktoberfest beers and pumpkin beers coming out because it seemed like a race. Like all the breweries wanted to get their stuff out so they didn't get like stuck with not being able to sell stuff, right? And if people burn themselves out over the next few months, they pushed it back, I think, a little bit more now from what I'm seeing, at least here, where it started coming out more like the second or third week of August. But right now, there's like displays in stores where it's all Oktoberfest beers and it'll be a display of all pumpkin beers. And it's a crazy thing, but people love pumpkin over here. So it's kind of funny that you guys don't have to worry about that. So I would much prefer a Bock beers than I would the pumpkin beers, by the way. Which in Cincinnati, every February they would have a Bock Fest out there, which was a celebration of Bock beers. And they have parades and they have goats and all kinds of stuff. And you'd have some crazy Bock beers the breweries would come up with. Cincinnati, where I was at, I tell people we had like probably 75 breweries within like a 20-mile radius, like around a loop. Like we just like you couldn't fall down without bumping into a brewery for the most part. When they all get crazy when it's like Bock, and it's like I think the lowest Bock beer they'll probably make is like 8%, and the highest would be like 13 or 14 or something like that. And like so, yeah, people get hammered at Bock Fest. But it's a good time. So Americans just go hard or go home. So that's what we do. So yeah. Paul says session IPAs are overrated and redundant considering proper British IPAs have always been lower in ABV than most American sessions IPAs. Yeah, I mean, we definitely have been higher. I agree. Brown ales is underrated. It was like Kevin said from Shark. Yeah, that's one I would like to see more of the brown ales. When we went to Canada for Niagara Falls, and we had the beer tuber get together. One of the breweries we went to, Silversmith, they actually had nut brown ales. So I bought around for all the different beer tubers so you can try that one out because brown ales are one I like. If you can get a chance to have somebody actually enjoy that and you get one that's really a good one, which that one was that we had at Silversmith, it's just like opens up a whole new world. Like now you want to start getting more brown ales, right? Because everything isn't like it used to be with just being can't think of the brewery now. Lagunitas says they're brewing for the brown ale, Newcastle. So I think people think of brown ale, I think of Newcastle. Well, Newcastle's more the macro thing. Now, back in the day, you have to give Newcastle props because they started the whole brown ale movement. But now there's so many other good brown ales that are out there. It's kind of like they're there and it's like, okay, they are what they are. Lagunitas does their brewing of the brown ale now, but there's so much more fun being done with the craft brown ales. And it's like, it's a fun style. So I wish more did do that. Let me see. Laz, cheers. Thank you. Oh, already ahead of you, Laz. Already ahead of you. Yes. Yeah. I mean, that's like we had a community called Mainstraus. So yes, very large German community for sure. Let's see, Paul's drinking Oktoberfest. He's going crazy pumpkin spice white girl over these multi-bruising. People go crazy for the pumpkin. I don't know. It is what it is. Just bought Sam Adams Oktoberfest this weekend, saving the best until later. Yeah, I mean, I'll get more into it like probably around that second week of September when you're used to Oktoberfest actually taking place, right? And then maybe pumpkin, maybe not. No pumpkin beers. I'm moving. So Paul's always on board coming to where there's no pumpkin beers. Around Thanksgiving time, it feels better around then. Like to have a pumpkin around Thanksgiving in November and Oktoberfest. Like let everything take their point. Like someone brought up the other day, it's like they're racing these things out and they're out of order. You got like Christmas before Thanksgiving. Like when you go to the store and they got Christmas things up and you haven't had Thanksgiving yet. It's like, why? Why are we rushing through it? Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
PA said pumpkin beer hashtag just say no. There you go. So it's nice to know there's a spot in the world where pumpkin beers aren't driving everything, right? One thing I was going to ask, like, as far as what you've seen from out there in the beer world and buying beer and drinking beer, like if there was anything that you see that you could like ask breweries to maybe be better at doing, what would that kind of be? Like we talk about breweries, like all breweries have dates on their stuff, right? Like we kind of talk about that as a thing, or how they do the labeling, or how they do the design of their cans where you can actually read them and not have to squint at them, you know? So are there any things like you would tell as far as like breweries, like to make it a better product that you would actually like to see maybe them bring into what they're doing?
Just taking a chance and making more different styles. Just not only IPAs and stouts.
Yeah. Stop playing it so close to the vest. Stop being so safe and branching out a little bit more.
We like I told you earlier, we did a 8-year anniversary from the Moorsleutel, a Dutch brewery, and they made 8 beers and they made only IPAs and stouts in that series, which is kind of boring if you ask me, because it doesn't reflect the brewery. Because they make great barley wines, they just put out a really fun wit beer and a really nice quadruple. But yeah. So I tell breweries that all the time. Just take a chance and do something that nobody's doing.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that. Yeah.
It's a chance you have to take, and it's like breweries always say when I ask, put out a black IPA. Yeah, there's no market for that, they say. And that's
no, that's not true. That's not true.
they got a point, but every now and then you just have to take a chance, I think.
Yeah. No, I think, I mean, it's who sets the market, right? So you got some people that would drink a black IPA. I know a good amount of people that like black IPAs, but they don't see them as much. So it's like the fear factor type thing. You're afraid to make it because you think people won't buy it, but there are people out there that would definitely do it now. What's that number? I can't say what that number would be, but there is an opportunity for you out there. So like you said, I forgot to mention earlier, I do like your motto you have when you're on your site there. Life is too short to drink shitty beer. I fully agree with that.
kind of stole that from a Dutch brewery because
Yeah.
that's the line that they put on their can.
Yeah.
And I thought it was quite funny. So
Yeah, Paul had a pretty good question here. He said, "Is there a brew style that would be considered quintessentially Dutch?"
ooh. Or
Is it?
I'm not really proud of what the Netherlands or the Dutch are really great at, but yeah, we got a lot. We got a few big macro pilsners that come from the Netherlands. Not really
Mhm.
proud of that, but that's probably beer wise the biggest thing coming from the Netherlands, I think.
Like a
Like
Dutch Pilsen?
Heineken and
Yeah.
all the other big Dutch breweries. But
Yeah.
Heineken is probably the most known around the world.
Yeah, probably. I would say for sure. Yeah, yeah. Like Budweiser for America, right? So yeah. Yes, we are the market. We're the ones asking, right? But is it enough for the market to satisfy the brewer? Is the question, right? So they say you're gonna come in here, you're gonna drink this whole keg. If I put it on keg, like I can try, I can't guarantee it, but I would give it my best. Well, before we get kind of into the wrapping up of stuff, because I know it's getting late for you over there as well. Um, what do you wish you knew when you started your channel that you know now that would have
Mhm.
maybe made the journey a little easier for you?
And it took so much time.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of time. Um, and probably underestimated that a bit. I think
Hmm.
that's why I went from 3 reviews to one, like I'm doing now. Um, it takes a lot of time, and I also do the social media for the Dutch Beer Collective, the
Hmm.
Facebook page and the Instagram page, and organizing revisits with the guys. But the last year it's been a bit low
Hmm.
going to festivals with the four of us, and so kind of doing a lot less Dutch Beer Collective things and more focusing on my own channel and my own social media. But
Hmm.
every now and then we go to festivals and do some recordings there, and we try to do like you did in Canada, a beer tubers palooza.
Hmm.
Every year we try to do that over here in the Netherlands with the four of us, and we have like a great weekend of drinking beers and doing live streams and recordings of beer reviews. But it's kind of not really easy to do because the four of us we live not really close to each other, so it's
Yeah.
always a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. The planning is something that definitely knowing what it would take. If you knew that now after going through it, if you wish I think a lot of people wish they knew early on when they started it, because
Yeah.
it might help to pinpoint a better course than kind of just like what they thought it might be. So,
Yeah.
and then of course, Paul, we know you would do the keg challenge without any problem.
Yeah.
And looking at the channel and stuff you have now, like any type of goals or anything you're trying to accomplish at this point, like where do you want to see it get to down the line? Obviously, we want to get you to that 1K mark because you're right there almost. So
Yeah.
hopefully get you up there. But what other stuff do you want to like? Do you want to like look at this as kind of a launch pad into doing stuff, other stuff in social media, blog, or being able to?
Um, Me and my buddy are looking into doing a podcast, but
Okay.
the thing is, we don't really live close to each other, so that's a kind of a big thing. But the 1K thing used to be a big thing for me.
Hmm.
Hitting that, it doesn't bother me anymore. If I hit it, I hit it. If not,
Yeah.
also cool. But
Yeah.
yeah, not really big goals or anything. No, just keep going and doing what I love to do. If I'm
Yeah.
not loving it anymore, I'm probably gonna stop doing it, but I still love it. So
Yeah. So the passion still burns and everything. That's
yeah,
the thing. 'Cause I think when you talked about earlier, going from the 3 to 1 was probably a good thing
yeah,
mental wise, because a lot of people do face YouTube burnout, right? Where you're doing so much, you can burn yourself
yeah,
out and everything. So you have to always maintain that as well as a
yeah.
good balance mentally so you don't do it. So, um,
Yeah, and
and I
it's because of I work 5 days a week. I got a family, got 3 children,
Mhm.
so I don't. There's only 24 hours a day, so
Yeah, that's how it works out.
yeah,
The numbers are the numbers, right? You have to work
yeah.
within them. As far as anything else going on, anything think about the beard, anything that you've kind of been disappointed with, kind of as you're learning about the beer industry or anything like that? Anything as far as I don't know anything. It's funny. I think back. I don't know if you ever watched like Greg's beer reviews, who just recently
Hmm.
passed away and everything. And one of the things
Yeah,
that he's always pissed him off were like the dates not being on can. Everybody that watched Greg know he hated when dates weren't on cans, right? But anything like the beer industry type thing that kind of like disappoints you still, like maybe things that haven't changed, or you figure by now like they should be doing different things and they're still not catching on to stuff. Anything like that that kind of
what I kind of love over here in the Netherlands is they put on their cans or bottles, bottle dates, canning dates, the ingredients,
mhm.
what kind of hops they use. They don't do that in the US.
They still
Which
don't in the
kind
US
of
and
annoys me.
everything. They still don't do a lot of that stuff here. It's good. Yeah,
No,
that's
because I always want to know what hops they use for just name one example. But yeah, I don't know why. Over
yeah.
here in the Netherlands, it's not. They don't need to do it, but they just put it on. And in the beginning, like um, what 5 6 years ago, not every brewery was doing it, but um, when I came across a beer and did a review of it, and there was no hops on the label, I told it, and the next time they
Mhm.
were doing it. So that's kind of cool, I think. And
Yeah.
but I'm kind of a nerd when it comes to um, hops on the label. Um,
Well, I think information on the label is always a good thing, right?
yeah,
So, um, and over the years, things we've talked about here has been you should have the dates, either the canned or bottled or the best by.
mhm,
Preferably, I like when some breweries that I go to, they do both to kind of give you that range there. Having something like the hops on there would be a good thing, or the malts that were used. Big thing over here in the States is now if lactose is in there or not, like on some of like the sour stuff like that and everything, like no lactose. Like they got to say no lactose, like because people if they see a sour and think it's lactose, they won't buy it. So they got to make sure they express that on the can, right? Like no lactose, or if it does have lactose, to let people know it has lactose on there. But it seems like date and ABV should always be on everything. One of the
yeah,
dates and the ABV at the least. And we still have cans that don't have ABVs that'll be listed on there sometimes. You still have stuff that don't have dates listed on it. And I know like some people now it's to the point, like if you're buying an IPA, there's no date, they don't buy the brewery. It sits on the shelf because they got to
yeah,
know, they would know what the date, so they drink it as fresh as they can possibly drink it, right? So if you see something like a 12% barley wine, you're like, oh, I'm going to get that because I know I can hold that for a number of years and I'm sure I'm
yeah,
fine. But when it's an IPA or some style in question, you're like, nope, pass. And I think breweries hurt themselves by not putting that
maybe.
information
Yeah,
on there. Yeah.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
but those are always key things. But yeah, but before we wrap up and everything, anything you want to share, anything else you got going on? I know Paul had actually had a thing in here too. He says, I'm brewing a beer at the end of September. I wonder if Gerben can guess the style. He wants you to
Black
guess Black
IPA.
IPA. But Paul's been actually growing hops and stuff, so he's actually brewing some beers and stuff now, which is actually pretty cool.
Cool.
Breweries can put a QR code that lists all the important information if they're still worried about if they are not so worried about, I guess, ruining the can art. A QR code they can put. I mean, they can put a barcode on it with no problems. They could put a QR code. It could be small enough to do that as well. But then again, you're relying on the consumer to have a phone to actually take a look at it, and not every consumer is going to pull their phone out when they're buying beer, right? So some are going to want that visual aspect on the can to get that idea. Like Paul said, I won't buy any IPA without canned on date. So again, I mean, for some of the breweries, we have some people that do watch, that do work at breweries on the channel. Like, if you're not putting that stuff out there, I think you're actually hurting yourself in potential sales. But anything else that you wanted to share around what you have coming on the channel, big things taking place, Dutch Beer Collective, whatever.
I'm kind of curious if there's like any Dutch craft breweries available over at your end.
I mean, where I am at here, like you mentioned, those Schoof, I can get the Schoof beers. I've done reviews on those in the past. Baltimore I got 2 main stores I can go to now to get beers. One of them has a little bit of an international, not really as great. The other one does have a little bit more, but I haven't been there in a while. But I'm actually friends with the beer manager at that store. So anything I can actually request, he can usually get in. So if they have a distributor, because they do get international beers in there, I think they actually probably have some stuff there. Now, when I was in Cincinnati, we would get a lot of the other stuff that would come through from overseas. And the one place, like mentioned, Jungle Gyms, like you can basically go in there and there'll be a section, it'll just be like international type thing, and I'll have beers from like the UK, Japan, China, might be Denmark or Amsterdam, whatever they would have there for Netherlands, or sometimes it would just say other Europe type country, but you would be able to go around and get some different stuff. So it depends on where you're at in the States. They're not everybody as accessible. And we still have some spots in the States where people still can't get decent craft beer. Like they're craft beer deserts. Like I had one of my friends out that used to review beers. He's in North Dakota. He'd have to drive 60 miles to get craft beer from where he lived at. So when he would go to get beer, he had to get beer for the month. He would load up the back of the truck and get it for the month. And if he drank through it early, he'd just be like, I got to wait until I can go again at the end of the month. Right. So there's some spots, and it's all a matter of where you're located at here. In some states, you can't get some beers like Georgia, or we have one of our other guys, Brian the Beer Snob down there. Like they can't have ABVs. I think it might be over 12%, I think might be their limit in that state. So that they don't get some of the higher ABV type beers there. We have like maybe, I want to say it's like 13 or 14 states where you can't buy like Sam Adams Utopia because of the ABV being 27%. So in the States, every state regulates their own alcohol. And so we still have what's considered, I guess you could say, the Bible Belt, like through the South and everything, where it's still got a big religious background where they kind of limit like the whole, we don't want our husbands coming home drunk type thing, So they're kind of like, you can have some, but you can't have the big ones or whatever. So it depends. Just depends where you're located at. But I think it's a matter of finding. That's why, like, when I always go and I find good stores, I track them so I can come back and know where to go to get the good stuff. So we like to use Untappd, to find some stuff here where it has like the stores and locations, and you can kind of share that out to other people or Yelp or other things along those lines. But it's not as easy to get a lot of the international beers, but it's when you do get them, it's nice. It's nice when you can actually have them on hand. This is Uther and Demola were ones I could get, Paul said. Ursel and Demola?
Ursel is a Belgian brewery, I think. And Demolen they're Dutch, but they're not craft anymore.
Oh, they're macro now?
Yeah, they're macro now. They sold out. So.
Yeah. Like I meant, like the 2L, we can't get that here where I'm at, but I can get it in Cincinnati. So it's kind of just a matter of location. Good grade imports almost non-existent here. Yeah, and when it's funny because Kevin Shark Home Brewing, he's actually out in California, which you would think because of the history of craft beer, you'd be able to get a lot of great different beers out there, including some of the imports. And he's basically saying they're not getting a lot of the imports out there. But I was probably getting more imports where I was at Cincinnati than he was getting out there in California. And if you go up like Northeast, you go like to Vermont, you go to New York, you go to Connecticut, up around that area, you'll find a lot of good imports and stuff coming in as well. Maybe because it's right there off the seaboard, but it's weird. It's just where you're at sometimes. And like in some states, like when I lived in Kentucky and Cincinnati area, we would go to parts of Ohio, which has great beer distribution for the most part. But in Ohio, you could buy beer at the grocery store, at the brewery, at a gas station, or like a convenience store. And there were gas stations that had better craft beer sections than other beer stores in other states. Literally, you walk in, you go to get gas, and you walk in the convenience store, and they would have 2 or 3 rows of craft beer. And you couldn't find the stuff they had there at regular craft beer stores if you were in another state over, because they just didn't get that great distribution. It's weird. It's just weird.
Yeah.
I'm coming drunk whether she wants me to or not. If you get those big ABV beers right down south, and the import scene basically here is dead. Very sad indeed. Yeah. So it's a matter of where you're actually at. Like I said, it's funny because you mentioned like Treehouse and stuff like that. Like you'll get stuff over there before we'll get it around parts of the states. Yeah. Just because of the way the laws and stuff are.
Really hard to get Treehouse, Trillium, and all those kind of breweries. But last year and a half, they got distribution channel open, and there is a store in the Netherlands, which is they got an online shop, and they're pushing a lot of US craft beers across Europe now. So
yeah,
all half is pretty easy to come by.
Yeah, so it's location, right? Yeah. So, but no, Gerben, it's been awesome having you on here. And if you want to hang out for a second, we'll go ahead and get this wrapped up here for when we're done. But again, make sure to follow Dutch Beer Geek down in the description. Again, link to Gerben's channel. You can also connect with him on Instagram and on Facebook for Dutch Beer Geek as well. For those of you that are listening back on this on the podcast, I will have the link in the description as well. So you can definitely check out the stuff there too. And if you guys ever have questions about the podcast as well, Gerben, let me know, because I do rerun this on the podcast as well.
Yeah.
That'll be a replay there. And then for anybody else that, if you're new to the channel and you want to connect with me, down here on the screen on the bottom, you can see all the various social media sites where you can reach Rajay BeerVentures. Feel free to reach out and connect with me there too. And you're also on Untappd, so people can actually track what you're drinking on Untappd, right? So Untappd is a Dutch Beer Geek there as well. Okay, so connect with Gerben on Untappd and see the beers he's drinking out of there. You might come across maybe some beers here in the States somewhere. I can't tell you where because we never know. They just pop up. But no, this has been awesome. It's been great having you on. And thanks for everybody that definitely tuned in. And we'll go ahead and we'll get signed off because, again, you're looking at 10:30 there. You probably want to get some rest and stuff, get the kids in bed and all that kind of thing. So we'll sign off and we will look forward to, I'll look forward to catching you on the next video. And again, thank you for coming in on this weekend day for us to do this. Appreciate everybody spending some time with us. Enjoy the rest of your Labor Day weekend here in the States or in Canada. And I will look forward to talking with you guys soon. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.